It takes me a minute, so let me.
Okay. No, just so I'm going to announce that in my DJ way.
In that best DJ voice you have.
Welcome tonight. We've got the Sheriff's Baked Goods.
I'll have to bring it and show you.
Yeah, what do you have? I heard that you brought baked goods.
You know, you're new. You need to.
Oh, I can't talk unless spoken to. Sorry.
Yes, Chrissy, do not speak unless spoken to.
Oh my God, I already got shut down. Robin. I'm muting. Don't worry.
All right.
Not yet. Not yet.
It says live on mine.
It's live on mine.
It's still redirecting. Well, it might be. Okay, now you're good.
Oh, great. Hey, good evening. You're here with coping, ... with whatever's going on here from Mono County Behavioral Health and Mono County. Tonight we have new panelists and some of your old favorites. We'll be here till 6:30 answering your questions. We've got a Q&A down at the bottom. All you have to do is type in your question, your comment. You can do it anonymously or otherwise. Really, this is about interaction with you all out there. And we're really looking forward to hearing from you. We're also on Facebook Live through Mono County Behavioral Health. So if you're a Facebooker, check out Mono County Behavioral Health. You can use your comments there too. We answer those comments in this format. So we had a little discussion about what to talk about tonight. And the discussion went something like, how's everybody doing right now? Number one. What's the sheriff baking? Number two. And how is everybody dealing with like blue sky, amazing, and then smoke coming back, and then fire danger, scary, like are you ready to evacuate? And then that seems to kind of have, at least in our minds, dissipated a little bit. And then what about the COVID, which is still out there? So we are going to have a conversation together about how we're doing and how we manage this unprecedented time we're in. I guess that's the best way to say it. Who would like to begin?
Robin, do you want to let Christy introduce herself?
Oh, I'd love that.
She would too.
I wouldn't. Justin. Yeah, hi, I'm Christy Milovich. I work in the county council's office for the county. Robin invited me, I think, to be cruel to me. But I'm happy to be here. I've worked with Beth closely in the past, and also with all the departments who are represented here, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Robin, for the invite. And yeah, I'm excited to sort of see how this panel goes. I've not ever even tuned in to this, so I'm excited to see. Thank you.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
You're going to find this is your favorite meeting.
I think I might. It already is, yeah.
So how is everybody, at least you all, and please, if you're in the audience, use the Q&A. You can type in a question or a comment. We do respond. You can even call in, I believe, and you can do that anonymously, and then also through Facebook Live at the Mono County Behavioral Health page. Mostly what we talk about, Christy, is just like kind of how we're doing and how we're managing and what we're hearing from other people. We've had times where we've talked about homeschooling and having kids at home and working from home, and those people who aren't working right now and the stress of that, and you know, kind of anything really, with the idea being that there's power in naming it without necessarily knowing how to solve for it. I think that's where we are landing pretty much all the time. So.
Well, I'll start, Robin. You know, it's been sort of an interesting time for me. Many of you guys know that I live in Orange County, and I'm in South Orange County, where we've been mostly spared. Besides sort of ash and smoke from some of the other fires, both in San Diego and San Bernardino, so far our area we've been very lucky. But I say that because I've been really struck in the last sort of several weeks in speaking to people, how not only exhausted people are now, because I think we've been exhausted for a number of months, but how they're describing sort of the levels of stress and the number of stressors is sort of exceeding some people's capacity to manage and to tolerate them. And it's been conversation after conversation that I've been having. I mean, I am a clinical and organizational psychologist, so I wouldn't be surprised to have these conversations, but I've just been struck by that. And then I stopped for a moment and I thought, maybe I need to check in with myself. And I did, and I was really very, very aware, and I spent some time reflecting. I was really aware, like I really was understanding it, not just from sort of a theoretical perspective, but I was like, wow, me too. And I had this opportunity to and I told Robin to just be quiet for the weekend. I went away and I went to a hotel because there's nowhere really to go. And that had a separate air system. So I knew that I wasn't breathing anybody else's air. And I literally was quiet for the weekend, and I slept, and I did nothing. And I was able to leave my family and my responsibilities. And I know many people can't do that. I feel very fortunate, but boy, even a few hours makes a difference if we can steal time away where we can, just like be by ourselves.
I took some of your advice from last week, Beth, or 2 weeks ago, and we've started planning vacations that we might not take.
Oh, where are you not going so far?
That's been fun. Well, we are for sure going to Morro Bay unless things happen. We're going to do a few days there, and then my kids are in a different district, and so we're in Zoom school until minimum November 4th. So we'll get away for that, and then we are looking for Thanksgiving week. I think I mentioned this before, where we sent an email to family and said, are we gonna celebrate in sort of a traditional way, or are we gonna be modified? And we didn't really want to do a modified holiday season. So everyone, we've had communication with everybody, and we're gonna do our own thing this year. So we're looking to get away with the kids for Thanksgiving potentially. So we're looking at some options for that too. But it does provide, it's nice to have something on the calendar. It's nice to kind of have something to look forward to and something really kind of productive to do. So not any big like international trip or anything, but just something to kind of plan for.
And Justin, do you have different like risk decisions that you're making along the way as you're deciding to do it?
I think, it's really, I have 4 children. Our oldest is 11, youngest is 4. The 11-year-old, the 3, who are in school age, we have really decided that our level of risk is pretty high. I mean, she's going to her midweek group that she really likes. Our second daughter is, back in a soccer camp. So they're going to all be eventually back, 2 days a week, or the way we're doing it, 4 days a week for a couple hours in school. So it seems like we are, doing the best we can to mitigate risk, but there's so many of us, we seem to have a lot of exposure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we are letting family know that too. We're being very upfront about things too, that our exposure is quite a bit higher than others just because of the size of the family, I think.
So when you think about Thanksgiving, for instance, or a holiday or a get together, it's not just the assumed risk that you're taking for your family, it's the risk that you're potentially putting other people in.
That's the biggest concern. Yeah.
Boy, times have changed. Used to be you just didn't want to talk politics at the table. How about the rest of you or anybody that's out there? If you have a comment, please put it down on the Facebook Live or down here in the Q&A part of our Zoom meeting. Go ahead, Ingrid. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm saying you still don't want to talk politics, especially now. That's just so.
There is that.
I'd rather talk COVID than politics, Lord. So 2 weeks ago, I was super late to this meeting because I was doing fire evacuation planning. And I don't know if it came across when I came in, but I was super stressed out because we really were on the verge 2 weeks ago of thinking that we had to evacuate Mammoth. And I tried not to convey that because that wasn't a done deal. And it's now not a done deal. So the winds didn't show up and the rain did and everything's good. But that was, I'm sure everyone was stressed out, but it was so stressful. So we're good now. It's really nice to have blue sky. I even told them at the Creek Fire meeting last night, we did a meeting last night, as if you were watching the debate and needed to tune out, that was a great escape. Unpack your car. I mean, always be ready to go, but we are not on the verge of evacuating Mammoth Lakes, not from the
wow. Okay.
people were, it was nice to tell people, hey, just breathe, drop your shoulders. You can take a deep breath because the air is finally clear enough to take a deep breath. And I think we're good. The fire is hung up in the creek, I mean, the fork of the San Joaquin and in the fire scar and in the granite. So I think we're okay. So, yay.
You know, Ingrid, I worry about sort of this level of vigilance and this up and down levels of vigilance that are happening for you guys, much more than it's happening for us. And I worry because then I wonder, how are people coping with that? And what do you do when you can finally breathe? Like you're saying, you know, let your shoulders down, right? When there's this, you know, sort of this almost like people are waiting then for the next thing.
Yeah. And it kind of feels, it's kind of how we feel about COVID right now, you know, because we're in a total lull here. Things are chill. Everybody, with the smoke and the forest closing, people are gone. It feels like a real shoulder season.
Yeah.
It's really nice, but oh, Nila's got something to say. But yeah, you're waiting for that other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know when
I
that.
really noticed that feeling when I heard about the fires in the Calistoga, Napa area, and how just quickly that happened. And that's an area that I don't know very well, but I know I've been there, ridden my bike through there a ton. So, you know, when you ride your bike places, you have a familiarity that it's different than being in a car. And like all of a sudden I get that feeling inside me like, oh, like we're not really out of the woods, so to speak, right? We're out of imminent, like, are we evacuating tonight, all of these people? But
Yeah, and that's the thing, it can change.
and COVID feels like that too.
Ugh. Yeah, my shoulders just crept up just thinking about it.
I talked to some of the some leadership from Sonoma County. I work very closely with Sonoma, and have for a number of years. And you know, it was sad for me that one of my colleagues was saying, who really has become a friend, was saying to me, you know, Beth, the re-traumatization is significant. I mean, they're on their third fire, right? 2017, 17 was the first one, and you know, it was really sort of stunning when she was describing this levels of re-traumatization, and some of them are really, people are struggling.
Oh, can't imagine. So you're listening to Coping with COVID, the new normal. That's what we started calling it. And we're going to continue every other week. As long as you're out there and interested, we have a Q&A. If you're tuned in through the Zoom, you can write a comment or a question there. Also, we're on the Facebook Live through the Mono County Behavioral Health page, and you can put your comments there and we will respond to them as well. Stephanie, Cassandra, how are you guys doing?
Well, for us parents up in North County, our kids went back to school. We didn't have the option of, you know, keeping them at home or sending them, so they were sent home. But it actually, you know, I think of what Beth says about how quickly we adapt, right, as human beings, especially kids, right? They are so resilient. And the first week we had half a week, right? And that was kind of, you know, hey, it's new. Remember your mask, you got your hand sanitizer, and we would go through the checklist every morning. But now it just seems very normal. It's like, you know, it's almost second nature. And, you know, there's a whole process of dropping off and picking up your kid from school. So, but it just seems very second nature now. And my kid's loving it. She you know, just having that interaction with kids, and they, you know, having now, what is it, those like desk shields. Kids just adapt to anything. They're so, I mean, it's just, oh, you know, I was telling her that she actually has a short week next week, and she's like, no, I want to go to school. So I think she was really craving that social interaction. And Yeah, since last time we had a meeting, it just seems like we haven't had like any emergency, which is nice right after the smoke cleared. This weekend we had really nice weather up in North County, and we actually took advantage of it, and we had a little mini soccer game in our front yard, and I realized that I have not ran in so long and I'm so out of shape. I was struggling, but it was just fun to, run around with the kids and enjoy the fresh air again.
Yeah, so just what Beth mentioned was about a self check-in. I did one of those, and over the weekend, since we had clear skies, I was able to go out on a walk. Just head into the trees. I love fall season, so I can see like the transitioning of the colors. It gave me some sort of like a nature, like well clear of a mind. I was able to breathe really good. Did some of our breathing techniques we've been using, through our, right now in our conversations. And definitely it is important. We kind of just tune out of like, I did the whole like no day with social media, no phone, no distractions. I did tell, I told my loved ones I would be, MIA for 24 hours in case they didn't hear from me, but I did want to, yeah, it was just really nice. Definitely, I working, for the county, I had my family stressing, if they had to pack up and evacuate as well. Where are we going to go with COVID? We have a lot of family who live up north, so they had fires too. And, just figuring out like, okay, if we can't go, to so-and-so's household, because we're trying to respect boundaries, can't just ask your family member, hey, I'm coming through, but what if they have COVID boundaries as well? We talk about these boundaries we want to, keep up with our family. And it was a little stressing in the beginning, but, just following up through with our Creek Fire presentation and, just, I guess, keeping our head on our shoulders and just trying to be, day by day and, and then, just trying to keep up with fires, COVID, and clear skies.
Sandra, did you run into a lot of people on your hike?
I did not. I did not. I went totally towards, so I live in Mammoth and I walked up towards like Eagle Mountain. So head up there, just walked. I just started walking. I wasn't really clear of where I was going to walk to. I just did.
There's not a lot of people in the county right now.
Yeah, it's quite time.
Maybe it's a little bit different up north because the forest is open, but down here, really it's like really beautiful, and then there's really nowhere you can go.
Right.
There's a very few. How about you, Christy Milovich? Do you have any coping skills that work for you, or anything that works for you to kind of get your head cleared when you're feeling stressed out about all this?
Thanks for the question. A lot of things have run through my mind as I've listened to everybody talk. One thing I will point out is that on Robin's recommendation, I did do some fall color looking at yesterday and the day before, and that's really important right now. I think it's sort of at its peak, maybe in certain places. So even if you can get in your car and drive to a place that's not yet closed or isn't, hasn't been closed, it's kind of worth it. Yeah. Bright colors on the leaves are great. That wasn't a direct response to your question, but I don't even know how I cope. I honestly don't even know. It's different every day. Mostly I laugh at things that aren't funny. I don't even know how else to describe it, but it's not like a macabre sense of humor, but it definitely is. You find the humor in things that wouldn't otherwise be humorous. I don't really know. I can't think of a great example right this second, but one thing that bothers, I sit at this window right here and there's this giant fig tree in front of me and it's loaded with beautiful figs. I love figs, but I'm like on these Zoom meetings all day and there's these birds that are like attacking and eating all of the figs all day long. And it gives me like serious stress and distress because I want to pick the figs and they shouldn't be eating the figs because maybe they should be eating because they deserve food too, whatever. But the point is, like, I just have to sit and laugh that I'm like in jail while these birds are like feasting on these beautiful figs. Otherwise, I mean, normally I wouldn't laugh at that. I'd go pick the figs, but I mean, little things like you just have to kind of laugh because in a sense, we're all in these, you know, strange, you know, we're kind of in this arrested situation and we kind of just, we have to laugh. We have to laugh at them. Laugh that I'm like in jail while the.
How about you, Sheriff Braun?
Well, I bake, so
You like figs?
I'll bring you figs, Ingrid. They'll be
And
eaten
you
by a
could put her
bird.
in
But that's
jail.
fine.
I will come up with, I'll find a recipe that I could use for that. Today I made a carrot cake loaf with a tangy lemon glaze. It was yummy. I'll bring a piece to show to you all if you want. That's kind of my stress relief is I like the science of baking and
Do you
but I also get out like
Sheriff? Do you eat everything you bake or do you share it?
I share it. Oh my God, if I ate everything I baked, I'd be so huge. I bring it to work and leave it out. That's the nice thing about cops is they'll eat anything. You can just leave it anywhere. It's quite handy. I did get out into the Humboldt Toyabe last week with Nilla because that forest is open. It's kind of like the new Yosemite for Mammoth locals. I just hiked up to Frog Lake, Virginia, and saw a bunch of people I know because that's where all the Mammoth locals were going. And then some old guy that was maintaining the trail told me, "Don't tell anybody that we're here." He didn't want everybody from Mammoth coming up there. I'm like, it's too late, dude. It's too late. He was hilarious. He's some old guy that lives in Bridgeport, used to work for the Forest Service, and now gives of his time to maintain the trails. They call him the Yeti. People the Yeti. But he was great. And I hadn't met him. And he didn't know who I was, which was kind of nice because most people in Bridgeport tend to know who I am. So it's always nice when somebody doesn't know who I am.
Unlike Sheriff Braun, I eat everything I bake. I've been baking a lot and I just eat it. But it really, like, it's kind of become like I bake at least 2 to 3 times a week. And I'm like, wow, like I'm actually getting good at this. So there's some stuff that my husband's like, Stephanie, I would pay for this if you sold it. And I'm like, oh, thanks. So I'm improving. So, but yeah, I eat everything I bake. I don't share.
Here,
I certainly eat it. I just don't eat all of it.
Coping in the COVID and fire and just the world right now. That's what we're doing right now. We have a panel every other week, every other Wednesday. And you have a Q&A if you're tuning in via Zoom where you can add a question or a comment. And if you're looking at this through Facebook, it's at Facebook Live at Mono County Behavioral Health page. We typically get quite a few viewers there who leave comments. We'd love to hear from you. This is a community conversation. How are you doing? And how's it been? And what's your plan for the fall as we start to move inside and maybe have to deal with COVID a little bit more? And how are those of you out there that aren't able to work because you're unemployed or your business is shut down right now because of shoulder season or whatever? How are you doing? We want to know. You know, one thing I've noticed is there's something I feel like when there's the letdown, like when we had one day where I woke up and I remembered like, oh, this is why I live here. It's so beautiful. The sky is blue, the air was clear, the trees are starting to change. It's so extraordinary in Mono County. And it was one of those days where it was like, this is incredible. And I'm really grateful to be here. And I kind of got into it. But as the day was going on, I started to realize I felt this like pretty strong anxiety and angst that I think was let down from just holding all the stress from the recent stress. And I suspect that if something happens next, whatever that might be, and I am waiting for that shoe to drop, that my threshold's not going to be super wide to manage whatever is next. So, and I do think that COVID being a virus, that there is the potential that even though right now we're shut down, so the chances of of us being exposed in Mono County is probably as limited as it was in March. I'm not a scientist, so I'm just making that up, but it seems like that. That our numbers will remain low for quite a while and that people will stay safe for quite a while. But how do we build resilience while we've got a little time here and hopefully not having fires and the smoke is manageable?
You know, Robin, I had a chance to think about this a lot over the weekend. And the one piece that I really became sort of clear for myself, I don't know if you guys relate to this, is that part of this process, I'm usually pretty, like I can practice restraint. Like I'm pretty disciplined, like in my life, and not over the top or anything, but just, you know, if I make a decision to, let's say, I don't know, to eat healthier, or if I make a decision to decide not to watch the news, like that's a big one for me. You know, I find the news is addictive, and it's not a healthy addiction at all for me, because I don't get my needs met from the news. It just creates more anxiety. And I realized that one thing that I've done through this process is not practice the usual restraint that I would. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, this is kind of maladaptive. Why do you keep doing it? And so I had the opportunity to start doing that. And it's been, and I have fallen off the wagon a number of times. Like I ended up turning on that debate last night, and I'm so mad at myself because I knew not to. I really knew, like, that is not healthy. And I just started to say, you know, what will allow me to stay just more even right now and do some healing from some of the real stressors that have been going on, right? To get ready perhaps for the next thing. Because I feel like we have this, if you're getting a lull, that's a time to gain some strength for the potential of something else happening. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but that's how I see sort of resilience, right? It's during the lulls we actually can maybe relax and get ourselves a little stronger, strengthen. And I just realized that a lot of the things I'm doing are based in just, you know, this automatic behavior that's not even healthy for me. So I'm incredibly aware of that this week. And I've fallen off the wagon, like I said, a number of times. And then I get back on. I'm not very judgmental. So it's like, okay, you did that. Now let's start again. And it's been really helpful. I feel a little more empowered, like I have a little more control.
I think I'm in a.
Stephanie, saying to Stephanie, put the baked good down.
Well, yeah, I think like I'm in a place. Oh, go ahead, Stephanie.
I was gonna say I didn't bake anything today. I'm taking a break, maybe tomorrow, but I now found myself that I have a cupboard with just baking ingredients just in case.
Go ahead, Jeff.
We've come to like where I finally sort of had to make, you know, experience this mind shift where this isn't like a short-term thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that you know that doesn't mean that on Tuesday, you know, you can. It's just you should get back to this is a new way of life, and it to some extent this is going to be, as we talk about, sort of somewhat of the new normal, right? Some of these things are going to be sticking around for quite some time, and so you know to just kind of adapt that way and not really kind of think it's sort of like everything's out the window because this is a, you know, middle of a pandemic. More of this is a new way to live and we've got to work within it and let's put some structure around that.
Yeah, you know, just to echo that, Justin, I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 7 months. I think 7 months. I don't even know if I'm accurate on that, right?
Yeah.
And it you know, once you say it out loud, it sounds like a very long time, right? And you know, I was thinking, I'm like, you know, when are we going back to normal? And what does normal, you know, even look like anymore? The one interesting thing though, through my job is that I found that people are just becoming so adaptable to the way things have changed, right? Having phone appointments and just, hey, you know, this is just the new way things are done. And it just seems people are finally at that point where like, hey, it's just the way it's done now.
I was just saying, I think that's a testament to human resilience. I think we're so incredibly resilient, and we're built that way. Even when it's overwhelming and it's difficult. I just think that's, our ability to adapt is pretty amazing. And that doesn't mean that everyone has some people have an easier time with it than others. And everyone is in different situations, right? Personally. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure we have another choice.
Right. We have a question from on Facebook from Judith Jimenez. It says, how can you encourage those who do not have the certainty of a job for the winter? Many places are practically closed or are working with few hours, which is reduced to a low income. And how do we encourage or stimulate them? And that's a great, as we head into this season, right? And like we don't know what the virus is going to do. We don't know what the economy is going to be like, with the changing season. Getting ahead of that. How do we get ahead of that?
I don't have an answer for that, obviously, but my recommendation is that people plan for this to get worse.
Yeah.
So that you're making whatever plans you can around your finances and your economics based on the worst case scenario in the event that it happens. I know some people have had to leave as a result of that. And I think to the degree that, I don't know if what we aren't in right now that was really making us all feel really, really stressed out is today this week we're open. Well, it's happening a little bit with the forest. So I would imagine that people that want to come up here are feeling it. Like one day it's open, the next day it's not open, you have a job next week up at the mountain back in March and April because that's the plan. And then all of a sudden the state decides something different. And then we shut down businesses that before were open. And we're not in that right now. We're kind of in a holding pattern around that, but we don't have visitors, right? And we're so tourist driven everywhere, really. And again, I don't know how it is up north in terms of the economy. I don't know if there's more people in Bridgeport, Walker, Colville using, the restaurants and the hotels up there than there are down here. But I would say that if you're dealing with that level of stress, that you always have control over your breathing. You always have control over making connection with other people so that people know how you're doing with your stress and that you're stressed. And that we really work to, like we've been talking about, reach out to people that we know are struggling. Make sure that we're making connections with people every day or every week, or, look through your phone and find the people that you don't normally connect with and connect with them. But also I think is preparing for the worst if this next year stays as barren as it is right now, it's going to be really, really hard. And there's different programs for people who are dealing with COVID and rental assistance and those kinds of things, but they're also limited. They're there and they're important, and certainly use them, but they're not going to sustain you and a family over the entire winter. And it's unbelievably stressful.
Yeah, so I'd like to chime in on that, Robin. I think that one thing that comes to mind is that my suggestion is, and I don't have social media, so I'm sure this is occurring already, but I guess just encourage individuals to be bold in their requests and in their I guess solicitations of help, maybe. And that could just be like in terms of housing or in a job, and be humble in the request. And I have a skill, does anyone need this skill? Or I need housing, does anyone have housing for 3 months? I can pay $250 a month. Just be really bold and be humble in those I guess in those solicitations, because you never know who's reading, you never know who's listening, you never know the connection somebody has or the ability that somebody else has to give or to provide. And I think it's important to just be bold, because I think we also get in these places of humiliation and embarrassment, and I think we need to just move beyond that. And I would encourage everyone to move beyond that. There is no pride here. You know, there's no
Yeah.
face here. Like, just, they're not saving face. We're all in this together. Just ask, because somebody out there could probably meet the need that you might have.
Excellent
Be
point.
bold. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, I think that's so, I think it's so important what you're saying, Christy. You know, and for, I don't know about you guys, but for many people, it's very hard to ask for what we need, right? So
Yeah.
that is really kind of having to break through, like you're saying, the humiliation, potential shame, the discomfort, the acknowledgement even that we do need things that are based in our survival right now. And yet, what I also know from being on these for the last couple months is that there are a lot of people that are also out there waiting for people to ask. So and some have shared it with us, right, guys?
Right.
That they're wanting to be able to provide, and they don't know what to do or where to give it or where to, you know, and I think that that's such a wonderful way you put it, Christy, because just as it's hard, just as, you know, it's hard for people to ask for what they need. It also makes other people feel really good to be able to give.
Yeah.
And I think we've lost track of that in some ways in our American culture. That, you know, you give them the gift of giving. And I hope that can be, you know, sort of a mutual experience for people.
So good. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Beth. You're right. On this platform, we've had people say, "How can we help?" You know. So you're right. Be bold. Put that request out. Someone will receive it. You know.
You know, something I came across about being bold was a friend of mine shared on Facebook really wise, positive words. And I'm going to read it off. It said, give back to people you know personally. Stop giving your time and money to corporations and give back to your friends, family, and community that you can affect directly. And it was a great start to my morning. It was really good because, you know, even sharing small things like that, if it's just, you know, not directly to just one person, but, you know, whoever is scrolling their news feed, you know, social media, you know, these words can affect each individual differently. And this was definitely heartwarming to see other people, you know, just reaching out to a stranger.
This is coping with everything, including COVID and fires and smoke and economic disparities and the precipice that we're all finding ourselves on right now. It's sponsored by Mono County and Mono County Behavioral Health. We do it through Facebook Live at Mono County Behavioral Health, but also here on Zoom. If you are on Zoom, you can do a question or an answer anonymously or not and participate just by making a comment, or feel free to ask a question. We love participation, obviously. You can also make comments on Facebook, and Justin, who's monitoring that for us, will pass those along to us as well. We come to you every other Wednesday at 5:30. The next time will be on the 14th of October already. That's right, 14th of October is 2 weeks from now. And we just really enjoy the conversation with you all between all of us here. It is a part of how we're keeping ourselves moving forward and really normalizing the new normal. That's really, I think, our biggest task. What else? What else you got?
I'd like to talk more about what people are eating.
We can talk about what people are eating?
Yeah, can we talk more about what people are actually like, because Beth made the comment about falling off the wagon. And for me, it's been like with cheese. I'm just...
I've had a relationship with cheese too, Christy.
I fell out of a relationship for cheese for many years, and I've kind of gotten back into it. And I think it's an okay thing, depending on who you're asking, but does anyone want to talk about cheese or food or anything? Bread?
I can tell you that in the last 6.5 months, some of you guys know that I do so many presentations across the country. And so I have polling data from over 10,000 now, all public service professionals, you know, they're people that work in public service. So it's not as community wide, but it's public service. And I can tell you that and it kind of makes me feel a little good, I must admit. I guess, what do they say? You know, something about company, like when you need company for something negative. But approximately 65 to 70% of attendees report that they have changed their eating habits and in a maladaptive way. So the question is about being maladaptive. And I hate to say it, but I get great solace from that.
Me too. Yeah, it's the cheese. It's not malodorous, it's maladaptive is what
Maladaptive.
Yeah, so that's my, I've fallen off the wagon in that sense. So thank you for indulging me in that conversation. Robin, what about you? What have you been eating?
I
Curious.
think next time, Christy, we should have you talk about maybe do some cheese demonstrations for us, because
Yeah, no, we could do like a
then maybe we could figure out a socially distanced way to pick up whatever is being baked and add some cheese in. That would be great. And we could invite whoever's listening right now to show up and have a very large circle that's very far away with some offerings in the middle.
You could do an apple pie and the cheddar cheese. You know, that's a winning combination.
Also, figs and goat
My dogs
cheese
are
have
about to
been.
bark.
Pigs and goat
Figs
cheese.
and goat cheese have
Maybe
been
a bacon on
combination.
there or something.
Combination I never knew about until recently.
Yeah, the birds outside told me about that.
How about you all put in the comments, in the question and answer, or in the Facebook comments, something about cheese or what you might be eating right now that you weren't eating before COVID, or that you're not eating since COVID, and we'll see. Maybe this is our next thing that we're going to do as Mono County. It's going to be our think outside the box. We're going to become known for more than the incredible place that we live.
And Justin, thank you. Misery loves company. Actually, you know how I was taught that one is misery loves miserable company. So misery loves company is much more a positive spin on it. I like that. Thank you.
Me too. I like that.
Oh, look, Linda Salcedo just joined us.
She eats raisins.
Raisins.
Great.
I don't know if she'll join. I promoted her, but okay.
Oh,
there
we would
she
love
is.
to see you. And you've got to unmute yourself, please. Because we do want to hear your voice.
When I like want an apple pie or something, I go get a box of raisins and I just sit there and I must eat, like I swear to God, half a cup of these things. Just raisins, 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 raisins. I never did that before. That's coping food. Yeah, that's all I got.
Raisins are a great staple in the house, so that's good. I appreciate that.
Wow.
So I started eating more was frozen fruits. I love frozen grapes, so I started eating more of those, and pickles. That was a pickle juice, actually. I started doing more of that, and I got called out for it the other day, so I think I'm gonna stop doing pickle juice in the morning. It's
It might have
that's not
properties.
healthy.
It might
I
be
was like, I'm not sure. I have this like salty acquired taste recently.
Oh, pickle
My
juice
goodness.
is very trendy in endurance athletes. Pickle juice is a thing for long distance road bikers and runners, and to replace the lost salt. So
Oh, I have been starting working out, so maybe it makes sense why I've been
Your body's
craving
craving
pickle
it.
juice. Yeah.
You could start eating the pickle juice and the cheese now and then become an endurance athlete.
Yeah.
She dropped raisins in the pickle juice.
Oh.
So we have another Facebook question. This is from Jeremy Wilson. How do you encourage people who haven't been directly impacted by COVID and or fires? They don't want to seem insensitive, yet it's okay to not be okay.
Is the question, how do we let people know that it's okay not to be okay?
Yeah, and if they haven't been impacted too. And I think we might talk about both. If, some people who haven't been impacted by fires or COVID and maybe don't understand either,
Yeah.
I think the difficulty that I'm hearing is that people feel guilty that they haven't been impacted. Some people feel really uncomfortable about that. And I actually would love to release you from having to feel badly if that is part of your process, you know, most of us are empathic in ways that we kind of know that others have been. What was that saying? I said it a couple of times. That wonderful saying that I heard in the beginning, we're all in the same storm, but not in the same boat.
Yeah.
And I love that statement. It's like, yeah, and that's really fortunate. That's true, because then sometimes that's a time also, if we want to put a hand out to those that might be struggling, or to figure out a way, or to just listen. There's this new thing, guys, lately. It's called listening circles. Have you heard of it?
No, I don't want to belong to that.
Listening. Well, you already listen for a living, but many people don't have a place where they can go lately, and they're finding it really powerful. There's a facilitator that doesn't talk a lot because they're listening, but people come and they're doing listening circles to just have people express themselves.
You know, I have a tool that I have talked about in public before called the rule of three. When someone says something about themselves, that you ask 3 questions more before you talk about yourself. And that, I think, can help for people like the commenter, because I think sometimes we don't know what to say. And I think, you know, silence is hard for a lot of us, at least white people. I'm not sure about other cultures. Silence becomes really difficult, and we want to fill it rather than to just say, okay, you know, someone says, the smoke is terrible here. And then the next question will be like, well, give me, like, is it as bad as fog? Is it, you know, like, give me some references. And then what's the next question and the next question? And that way you're inviting conversation about what the person's trying to talk about, and you're off the hook in terms of knowing what to say, because we're a fix-it society, really. We want to, if we don't have anything to offer other than information about cheese, then or raisins, then you know, we feel like we need to do something about it. So try it, like the rule of 3. That might be helpful.
I love that, Robin. That's really good. And on that same vein, it's sort of like the service, or like the ministry of just being present with people. And I guess that's the listening circle. And I guess put yourself in their shoes. Like, often if I have an issue or a problem, you know, I just want to share it. Maybe I already know what the solution is, or I might anticipate or guess what a solution is, but it's just the service of being present with somebody, just sitting with them, just sitting with them. Have a raisin.
I do think, though, we do have to move out of that sort of American culture way when you say that, Christy, in terms of not feeling like we have to fix everything, because that's what we're used to, right? And this one is not, this one's so complex. It just, there aren't those fixes, like you say, right, Robin? It's not like we can solve everything. We can address it, right? Or be empathic, but not necessarily solve it.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, I'm sick of it. You know, I'm really sick of it. And I think we're doing a really good job, those of us that are working to help promote safety within the county and within the town. I think people are doing a fabulous job, and I know a lot of work's going into it. And you know, I don't know what would be normal anymore, but there's things that I don't get to do right now, and I'm tired of it. It makes me mad, I think. And part of my letdown, when I had some time and when the air cleared out, I realized how tight I'm holding myself and everything. And then I started having little accidents, clumsy things. Like, yeah. So I don't have answers, but I do feel like I want to yell at someone a lot.
Has anybody experienced any new guidance or protocols that have been put in place that they actually like, that sort of are more beneficial to, you know, their personality or lifestyle? For instance, you know, something like,
You mean like being home?
being maybe like working from home, or for instance, like going to, you know, a restaurant and you like that you know, I don't know. I know some of the
inside.
I know some of the indoor restaurants, you have to know, you know, you use your phone for a menu, or I don't know, something that might be better.
I will admit to this. I actually like that when you go into stores or any type of place where they have the stickers on the ground and like people have to like, you know, most people now, right, will kind of keep their distance because when, you know, things were back then, you know, pre-COVID, sometimes you were at the grocery store and it's like, geez, like, you know, you're breathing over my back. So I actually like that one and I don't mind it, you know.
With you, people get too close. And how do you politely say not smooth, you know? Ugh.
I really think, I hope that I don't love wearing a mask all the time, but I love the idea that I think this will now normalize people wearing a mask when they're ill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My
I
dog
like
is really happy.
I love that the freeways down here have no traffic. I've never experienced that in my whole life. I just can get anywhere at the right amount of time that it usually would take based on the miles. That has been amazing to me. But I was at the airport today, the John Wayne Airport, and there was no one there. I had to drop off my daughter's friend who came to stay with us for quite some time, and she went home, back up to Sacramento, and there was nobody there. It was remarkable.
I love the way we recognize people even when they have their mask on. I'm always amazed when I see someone and I immediately know who it is, and yet, you know, from here down I can't see their face, like their hair maybe, to me it's a really interesting scientific experience. You know, it's like I know who you are and I can't even see who you are.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, I love how you can recognize a smile through the eyes only, you know, only through the eyes. Or like if you're angry, maybe you can recognize that through my eyes, or I could see it in Robin's eyes a lot, but yeah, like you just through
And you
eyes,
never have
you
to
can
check your teeth
so much
when you go out
expression.
anymore.
That's very special, really.
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting, you know, human trait.
Yeah.
I think, Beth, there's going to be studies on this after all this is said and done, because
Social scientists are having a field day.
yeah, right.
They're already, yeah, and in a sad way, unfortunately, but we are learning a tremendous amount.
But I think as humans, we should like pat ourselves on the back and say, "Look at us. We're actually pretty intuitive and pretty smart."
Yeah.
You know, masks don't end emotional, you know, contact with people.
Can I say something about coping? Like a mechanism that we probably, you guys.
This whole conversation is about.
No, I know. Yeah, sorry. It was not a great way of asking that question. But my point was that you probably have already discussed this, but I want to bring it up because I've never been on this panel before. I'm just a guest speaker right now. But I had the privilege of being down south for the past 2 weeks with my 3 nieces who are all Zoom schooling. And one thing that I noticed worked really well with my 3 nieces, and they're like, you know, 8, 9, and 10, or 8, 9, 11, or something like this, is that my sister implemented structure with them in the same way she would if they left the house for school. And I thought that was really beneficial for the girls and helpful for my sister as well, the mother. And that was like, they had they got up at a certain time and they actually went into the kitchen and made their lunch like they would every day if they had to take the bus. So they made a lunch, they put it in the bag and they put it in the fridge or put it somewhere else. And then they would go to their Zoom school, and then they have a recess from whatever time. And then there's an activity at recess. And then and she obviously has the luxury of being at home with the girls. But I think the point that I'm saying, and even this applies and transcends to like an adult working through Zoom constantly, which is very hard for me. Structure is so important.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot, for me, it's like if I roll out of bed and just go to my computer, like my whole day is not the same as if I get up, get dressed, have a coffee or whatever it is I'm having, cheese, and then get to my computer, work, and then have a break and actually put in those, scheduled breaks. And this is totally, I'm sure everyone has heard this before, but I just think structure is really, really important.
Yeah. Fully agree. Good one.
Yeah. And having a nice workstation if you can,
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is coping in a COVID world. We talk about all kinds of things that we're coping with. We talk about our community and strengthening our community. We have about 5 more minutes. We meet every other Wednesday. So the next one will be the 14th of October. That's 2 weeks from now at 5:30. We do it on Zoom, but we also live stream through the Mono County Behavioral Health Facebook page. And you can comment there. It's recorded there. This will be recorded. You can upload it later off the Mono County website if you're interested. And the idea is really to just be talking about how different people are doing during these times, whether it's related to COVID or all of the craziness that's going on politically, or fires, smoke, etc. Economic hardships that people are dealing with. So we really, really appreciate you being out there. We appreciate you being a part of our community. We are stronger if we are together. So please feel free to join us. We have a Q&A at the bottom of the Zoom, or you can comment on the Facebook. And we got something too about a cheese and fig. Was it a tort or a cake? I'm not sure. How you doing?
It was in the comments.
Did you just have a little more cake?
I did. You guys want to see it?
Yeah.
So it's hard to see.
No, that's not hard to see.
I want a cake.
I would like a pie instead.
Yeah,
I'll make a
That looks
pie.
good though.
I do make a good pie.
Yeah.
of course you do. You do everything.
Pie.
Now I'm not like Robin was doing tempura. It's not my skill set. I don't fry things very well.
I don't either, except my fingers, which was one of my accidents. But I researched deep fryers. It's just something that I've wanted to do, is be able to make good tempura. And it's really not easy. I've made one batch so far. It tasted really, really, really good. And I will continue to try. I have figured out a way to not burn myself, which is even better.
One of my indulgences, since I'm not traveling and I don't need to buy clothes or anything like that, I online shop for baking stuff and housewares, and so I bought new plates. I bought donut pans, and Sur La Table is making bank off of me, man. It's all the stuff that I'm like, no, I'll buy that some other day. I'll buy that. No, I'm not waiting anymore. I want that now, and it's kind of
Has
fun.
it changed what you make?
A little bit, not really. Having the New York Times app with suggesting recipes to me, that's changed what I make. That gives me ideas. So I'm always open to suggestions if somebody has an idea.
I would like to
Pinterest.
make a fig and cheese.
Fig and cheese tart.
Sorry,
I
Cassandra.
think the suggestion was fig cake with cheese.
Oh,
Oh,
No, Ingrid's asking if there are suggestions, and there's this application called Pinterest. I get all my cooking recipes, baking, decorating, you name it. It's time consuming for sure too.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's fun, though.
I never got into Pinterest for that reason, because I knew it would suck me in. So
Well, I suggest you make a pie. I'd prefer apricot.
I love Pinterest because you can even search like dessert with three ingredients, right? And it will like pop up a whole list of like, oh, you could have all these desserts with just 3 ingredients. So I love Pinterest.
okay. So now you know how we're coping. And this goes very quickly. Always, we're almost at the end here. I want to thank our panelists. Christy, thanks for joining us for the first time. We hope we'll come back next time.
and Christy, come back.
It's on the 14th.
Depends on what baked goods are available.
Well, you never know. We might be on to baked goods or something else by the 14th. And Linda,
I'll come back if Linda comes back.
Bring the cheese.
I had fun. Thanks, you guys. It was
it's a
actually
pleasure.
lifting
This
my
is always.
spirit. It lifted my spirit, so thank you.
Oh, we didn't do our breathing, Beth.
I know, but I figured that some of the other conversations, especially around cheese, might have been also quite healing.
Derailed. The breathing cheese. So
Next time.
you have control over a few things, no matter how hard it's getting. One is breathing, your conscious breathing that we practice here. You can check out Mono County Behavioral Health Facebook page. We have some meditation videos there for you that are very short. You can do them with yourself and with kids, just to keep yourself consciously breathing, make sure you're using your body and relaxing yourself a little bit. And then also making connection. Connection is where we build the best resilience. So make connection with each other. That's what we just did right here. We went all over the place and we all feel better for it. And I hope you do too. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll be back with you through Zoom and Facebook Live through the Mono County Behavioral Health page on the 14th of October, which is only 2 weeks away. I really love you guys. Thank you. Always enjoy this.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.